y'all. Give yourself a round of applause, man. Y'all came out for us. Tonight's guest represents the side of sports most people never see. The strategy, the contracts, the leverage, and the relationships that change athletes' lives. We got someone who didn't just step into sports. He built his name in the culture first. Before becoming an NFL agent with Clutch Sports Group, he was already shifting the nightlife and lifestyle scene through his company, 8081, a brand that helped define promotions in the Midwest by blending culture, community, and influence. He's worked alongside iconic names and major brands, connecting worlds that usually don't sit at the same table. He's an entrepreneur, a business owner, a man who understands both sides of the deal because he went to law school, earned his law degree from Cleveland State University, and turned that legal knowledge into leverage. From working with global brands like Puma, Floyd to now represent athletes at the highest level of football, he understands brands, contracts, positioning, and power. This is someone who knows how to move in the boardroom, locker room, and culture rooms. Make some noise for Kelt Crenshaw. Kelt.
Kelt, how we doing today, brother?
Blessed. Can y'all hear me?
Y'all would say y'all can hear me good too? So, Kelt, first off, we want to thank you for coming out here today.
I appreciate
Definitely,
y'all having me,
that.
for real.
Yeah, for sure. So, everybody know Kelt the agent, and Kelt, see your name on the ticker on ESPN, but we want to, bring it back and let's talk about we want to talk about Kelt, the hustler, because all this started from hustling. So, growing up, what shaped your, your desire to want to be a hustler and what entrepreneurship and things of such?
I mean, just, really just when I was growing up, just the culture, man, like I always been in like clothes and like very visual persons, like, after school, watching Rap City, watching, guys in the basement, et cetera, et cetera. So when I was younger, I just always like thought it would be, kind of cool to be the guy that's behind the artist or behind the athlete. Like that's just kind of, I'm kind of a private person to a degree. So that's kind of how, what led me down the path of, really trying to figure out how to find my way to get into this space.
Okay, when you say private person, that's for real. Anybody know Kelt? No, like us even get him to do this. Like when they said Kelt, I was excited about this one. So like growing up in the Heights. So what was it like growing up in the Heights? Are you born and raised in the Heights?
I mean, I was born in St. Louis, but I don't count it. I mean, I lived there for a few months.
Okay.
So I was raised in the Heights. I mean, the Heights, especially when I was coming up, the Heights was lit. You know what I mean?
Heights Tigers.
Real. You said
Heights, the Tigers.
Yeah, the Heights Tigers, yeah,
Heights
for
Tigers.
sure. Yeah, I was there, mid to late '90s. It was a special time, man. It was Damon Stringer was doing his 1-2. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was gonna definitely ask you about that. So, what was that like? Because people put Damon Stringer up here when they talk about like Northeast athletes.
High school athletics. Period.
Yeah, they say.
I mean. Man, the man was pulling like all the stuff that Steph Curry do. He was doing that back day, like pulling up right over half court, 3-ball, like crazy, like coming back downstate, down 20. They end up losing, but like in the semifinal game, they won the semifinal but lost in the finals. But like, he was doing, like I said, he was doing unbelievable stuff when we was kids, bro.
Yeah, like I hear all the stories. Like you got some people who even put him above LeBron James for Northeast Ohio, best player they ever seen. That's how crazy it was.
That's a little strong.
No,
but,
that's what I'm saying. I've heard it. No, I'm not saying I never seen him play, so I don't got no real opinion on it. But you got people who say that though. Like I know, like Ray Jr. be saying that. Like
I love Ray, man. But that's tough.
So going from the Heights, so from the culture, what you had going on, what attracted you to law? Like, did you always want to be a lawyer, always want to go the law route, or?
Nah, so I went to law school, I was older, right? So I graduated undergrad in '02, and I had took a pretty extensive break. That's when, we was doing 8081 and all of that, and then I kind of saw the direction, because, Rich got serious in the player representation in the midst of 8081.
Okay.
Like he was working with CAA and doing it. You know, he was already building, and then he left, started Clutch. So just the direction of my circle overall, I'm kind of watching and seeing how people are moving, and I'm like, just being, cool Kelt ain't gonna be enough, right? So
For sure.
I'm like, let me go to law school so I can add value as opportunities get bigger, and my friends and my people are doing bigger business. I could just we can have someone in the circle that's a lawyer, because I go into these rooms, I'm not wearing a suit, I'm dressed casual, just regular,
sure.
and it's like they don't assume a young black guy is a lawyer, but they might get to, running, trying to run down something, and, by the way, or they'll like drop a jewel about some law school or whatever. I'm like, I'm an attorney as well.
Sure.
And they be like, oh, wow. And it's like they kind of straighten up. It's just kind of,
Yeah.
It's like being almost like an undercover agent in a way. So, that's kind of what I wanted to just bring, like a different angle or different facet to my circle, with the whole law thing.
Yeah, so, I wanted to touch on 8081, and where did that idea come from? Because, you guys were tannered up in the city. Y'all were, what was it, View? The View?
Yeah, the View. That was
Yeah,
good.
y'all was promoting parties. Y'all had celebrities, athletes every night. Where that idea come from?
So, honestly, it was just, I went to so me and Rich went to undergrad together at Cleveland State. So I got cool with Rich at Cleveland State, and this is right around the time he met Brian. And then, Rich was like, he kind of was out of there. He was, traveling and, doing, I guess rich people stuff, at a very young age, you know what I'm saying? So like, Rich was already experiencing the world, but Rich was even before Brian, Rich was lit. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I remember going to his house to buy jerseys, and like he would have like a drawer with Polaroids with like him and Diddy and like him and AI. Like, this is back when I was like 19. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we was young. You know what I'm saying? And Rich was already kind of like moving in those circles and in that way. But I met Duck, or Ed Givens, through Rich, and because Rich was always out of town doing big stuff.
Rich stuff.
Me and Duck kind of like
stuff.
me and Duck kind of like linked up, and we kind of clicked, and when we would get the opportunity to kind of experience some of that stuff as well, we like, man, we got to bring this back to the city, because back then it was like the nightlife was like either it was super hood or it was like super corny. It wasn't like nothing in between. You know what I mean? To me, in our opinion, it was like kind of like super duper grown and sexy to the point where it's kind of like it wasn't really that fun, or it was like you might get shot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure. So then that next thing, I used to come to the Drake. So that was another one of your ventures. How was that? I mean, you had DJ Mill, you had Steph Floss, like y'all had some of the premier DJs at a smaller club, but it was packed out every night. How was that?
I mean, Drake was, it was cool, man. And, it was like we were trying to figure out a way to kind of, because, at that time, really, like, just the weekend was the only time we was getting money, so that's why we started, like, the Mellow Mondays at Drake, and we had Ladies Night on Wednesday that was jumping. So, I mean, it really was D. D brought the play to me, because I was working out with D. And a young lady that was working out with him was like, she was wanted to sell the bar, and he was like, man, let's get this bar. So me and Duck was like, I'm like, I brought Duck in on my half just because, that's my guy. And that's kind of how it happened.
Yeah, Mellow Mondays was crazy.
Yeah,
I had some memories there for sure. Steven Jackson, I remember one time he got carried out of there.
Yeah.
No, for real, like to be like a little bar,
And
like
it's a
up
little
the way.
bar.
I mean, we had Meek Mill in there, J. Cole blew through there one time. Like, it was, we had some good nights at Drake for sure.
Like, this a regular bar, like a small bar, and it almost was like if you come late, you had to know somebody to even get in on like a Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? Just give you a perspective. Like, Drake was crazy. Like, as far as, like people just going there and it being a real big thing, that definitely was. But I do want to, go back a little bit, because we mentioned the View, but View is in Cleveland history is almost like, like that's on the Mount Rushmore of clubs in Cleveland history. People talk about the View like they talk about, like Black history almost. So you want to talk to us about the View? Because I know like some of the people you had coming through there, how did that expand? Because I'm sure it didn't start off just like it, at the peak.
Yeah, no, I mean, if it was a grind because like on Sundays that was like, because back then like club owners would only let black promoters get like Thursday or Sunday. You wasn't getting Friday or Saturday, right? So we had Sunday that we were trying to grow, but like you had the water was jumping, you had the motor. So you had, we had some significant competition on Sundays, and people used to be like, man, y'all not about to get this going, but we just kind of stuck with it. We had a vision. We had like a certain aesthetic, and then, we just kind of just hung in there, man, and, people started pulling up, trickling in, because it was a bigger spot, but like it was comfortable. We had like a little rooftop. It was the first club in Cleveland that really was like on bottle service. I mean, it was just, we brought some things from other places that people weren't really familiar with, so it took a little time to adjust, but once people, finally like bought in, it really took off for sure.
I know y'all was killing them down there, because I know I definitely been down there and seen, you get there on a holiday weekend or something, they want 100, they want 50, so yeah. I know y'all had to do real good down there as far as that goes.
Yeah, no, it was good nights, great nights,
For sure. Like I was in there, like I'm talking about the list of people that been in the View is crazy. Like you talking, I've seen Floyd Mayweather in there before. I've seen like everybody who come through Cleveland. I think that's
sure. Kevin Hart got on the mic one time and just like started like just telling jokes, like making fun of people. Kid Cudi freestyling there one time.
This in Cleveland, Ohio, by the way.
Yeah. No, like you say, Floyd was there. I mean, we didn't. Like I said, I mean, we've been blessed to have a tremendous amount of, because I mean, this is a time when obviously LeBron and Cavs were at their height, so people were just coming through, really coming through the city in general, just want to tap in with, the organization, what Brown was doing. It was good to catch him, at the Q at the time. So, and it was right, like basically across the street from the Q, so people would just kind of come over, and I mean, it was definitely a heck of a run for sure.
Yeah, for sure, that was definitely a run though. So, go ahead, Ray.
So I was thinking like, because that we talking a while back. How did technology help y'all with 8081? Like, tech was really just hitting the scene for our socials and all that. Yeah,
so technology definitely helped us as far as like some of the like transition into like the business side of like promotions and things like that, because we had a blog that was popular. It was called 881.com, and like this is before you had really photos on social media like that. Like you had, at the time, Twitter was just kind of coming around, but like people would go to 88, like we would have photographers come to our parties, and people would go to 8081.com to see themselves on there and look at the pictures from the club and things of that nature. We had, different people posting things. Mill and another guy named Bobo were in charge of like 8081.com, but like, it really helped us branch out in the Midwest. We started doing stuff in Chicago, and we had a lot of friends in Detroit. We met a lot of people in the Midwest, though. So like that just kind of helped us. It gave us more of a professional. It positioned ourselves to be more of a professional promotions group, not just like guys throwing parties.
Right. I used to go on that site, 81.
Yeah, for sure.
No, no pictures of me was up there though.
Oh, here you go.
I mean, I was.
You was trying to. I know how you get down. You probably was avoiding the camera, man.
Yeah.
So you was super low key.
Yeah. So back in the blog days, because I remember on social media just seeing the blog days of it, in the Midwest. Like I remember it was like Cleveland versus Chicago, and just seeing all that, how that expanded to other cities in the Midwest. That was pretty cool to like see. So. And I know you guys had a big presence in Chicago too. So
yeah, no, it was dope. I mean, we still have like, I'm still close with a lot of those people from like you said, the Cleveland versus Chicago parties and those types of things, like to this day. So it was a great time for sure.
So I do know throwing parties 8081. I do know it was a particular party that you guys made the news for.
Oh, and, here you go.
So,
talking about that Martin Luther King flyer.
You know where I'm going with this, man.
Man, it's crazy because that's light compared to what people be doing now. We just had a picture of Martin Luther King on the flyer, but he was chilling. You know what I mean?
Not what they doing now.
Yeah, they crazy.
It wasn't photoshopped. It wasn't. It was just MLK just chilling.
Telling you to pop out.
But I'm a very professional, above the board type of guy. So when we got a little flack, I had to go, kind of, set the record straight on the news, and
I was about to say on the news, by the way.
Make sure they understood that it's good guys behind this, man. We didn't mean any harm.
Man, that is crazy. Like even like it was like rumblings, social media jokes, and it's like, damn, Kelt on the news with this now. Like, so yeah, that got real.
Yeah. So the business of influence. I want to ask you a question. So our audience, student athletes in the audience, and people that's watching, what separate athletes who become brands from those who just play? Like, what's the difference? Like, I'm trying to get an athlete the picture of what sports is now. Like, and you could become a small brand, you can connect instead of just playing your days out.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously, how well you playing at a high level helps all of that come together, right? But you also have to put the energy into what you do off the field or off the court as well, like showing up to shoots on time, being professional at shoots, making sure your social media content is clean, it's not raggedy, it's not, and you're not just chasing deals, you're actually putting a brand together and establishing yourself and positioning yourself in a way that people can buy into not only what you're doing on the field or the court, but off as well. So it's kind of like, it's a combination of things. We have a great marketing team at Clutch that helps really diversifies guys' marketing portfolios. We have a great comms team, which helps with PR and, magazines and, things of that nature. So just kind of putting all that together and really curating and being careful about positioning that for our guys and girls, because we do have a pretty big WNBA business as well.
What would you say would be something small as a smaller athlete can do to boost his social media or boost his awareness? Maybe he's at a D2 or a junior college and he's trying to boost his brand. What kind of gems can you give him?
I mean, it can be done. I mean, people go viral every day for different things, right? So whether it's just giving people a different perspective to being a collegiate athlete or at whatever level you're on is, something that I've seen people buy into heavily on social media. So just engagement. Really, the issue is with a lot of younger people and a lot of athletes, they don't really engage on social media. They just post stuff. Yeah. They archive all of their photos. You just got one picture up there. Like, people don't have nothing to really
go off of.
So just really making sure you're engaging. If somebody leaves a comment, respond to them. It sounds simple, but I mean, it's there. Like, if you're trying to get people to buy into something, you have to engage with them. Treat them like customers almost.
And I feel like that same way, because when you go to these kids' social media now, it could be a guy like, he a 5-star safety. You go to his page and there's nothing football on it at all. He got one picture of him and his friends. There's nothing. I'm like, did that become cool at some point to just not showcase who you are, or just like, I think some of these kids, like, they don't want want their social media.
So it's a balance, right? So you don't want it to be too much football, and you don't want it to be none. You know what I mean? Because some people pay just that's it. So it's like, it's not really nothing to buy into off of the field.
Okay.
But so you got to balance it, right? You want to put some lifestyle stuff as well as some football stuff, in my opinion, to kind of balance it out.
Okay. And then, so as far as the landscape of like these younger kids now, how do you think NIL is shaping how they move, or just going forward?
I mean, NIL it's definitely changed everything. You know what I mean? But to me, it's a necessary evil. You know what I mean? Like, you want these kids to be able to monetize what they're doing on the field or the court, because at the end of the day, it's a business. Like, for years they try to downplay the monetary aspect of it all. They got a scholarship. They should basically be happy to be here. Yeah. Meanwhile, that school is making billions. Mm-hmm. So I think it's important. But as far as how guys move, it's definitely, you do hear the cautionary tales, but I would say guys that go to the bigger universities are a bit more protected, because they have a little bit more of an infrastructure a lot of times. So it's really just kind of like the culture of the school has a lot to do with how guys do with NIL.
Have you noticed a change in like the hunger of the kid? Because
Yes, yes, definitely.
yeah,
That's a
I
real
feel like
thing.
like say 5 years ago, you wanted to get to the league to get that big bag, but now these colleges paying so much.
They
that
already
could be
got the bag.
yeah, that's
Like
the goal.
I
Like,
mean,
that's
you
the
hear,
goal now.
you hear some kids they just want to just
Go
get
to
paid to
college. Yeah,
get
that's-
paid at college.
So yeah, so definitely that changes a lot of things, and so yeah. So are you a fan of NIL, not a fan of NIL, or
Like I said, it's a necessary evil. You gotta, the kids have to be able to monetize what they're doing because it is a business. They need to be able to participate in the business, right? It creates more work for me from an agent's perspective, just as far as like managing that and interacting. But I would say one thing that's good, another thing that's good about it is that it weeds out a lot of these agents that are just paying, just trying to pay kids because they already got money.
yeah, for sure.
So it's like you're really able to kind of strip people down to studs, and like really the kids are able to kind of like decipher between who is the best fit for them, because it's not all about the money like it used to be back then.
Oh yeah, I can understand that for sure, and I just know, like dealing with it from the stories I've heard, have you had any issues with, dealing with players who have agents or are not, like certified or anything? Because from what I think about it, it's almost like it's like the Wild Wild West. Like it's a necessary evil, but the evil is really evil as far as like there's no rules or there's nothing. I think it's the Wild Wild West.
Yeah, I mean, I think the NCAA kind of just let open the floodgates a bit, just to kind of try to, because they were upset that people, were able to do it, so they don't really have any guardrails around it. I personally have not had any issues with like a guy or like you say a NIL agent that's not certified that's doing a bunch of strange things. But it is dangerous. Some of the fees that they're charging these young men are very predatory, especially like the transfer portal agents. I mean, a lot of times these guys that are transfer portal NIL agents, they're doing better than us because you're able to charge. I mean, you could charge a kid 10%.
Yeah, they transferring every year, right?
Every year, and you're charging 5-10%, and that adds up quick. I mean, 'cause if you're managing multiple guys that are getting 500,000, $1 million, you got 10 guys. 10 guys. Let's call it $1 million each. It's 10 million. 10% of 10 million is $1 million.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a business model, but you kind of, like I say, that's something that's a little, to me, can be a bit predatory at times.
Yeah, I can see that.
What goes into negotiating a major athlete endorsement deal?
So on the endorsement side, that's not really per se my expertise, but I will say, because that's more like the marketing piece. I don't really do that, like the negotiation that much, but I see it from like the high level. Right. So like, let's take like Chase Young and his partnership with Clutch Athletics / New Balance. That was a very complex and in my opinion, the deal was structured very well by our team, because you got a guy, Chase is from DC. New Balance is like huge in DC. A lot, that's like their kind of like their staple footwear. Like people, they're known for New Balance in DC. Okay. So like it made sense for him to be the face of the football side of New Balance, and as well as Clutch Athletics, because Chase was the first Clutch football guy. So to me, it's like when you kind of can hit those things out the park, it's the best partnership. I mean, obviously the money is want to make sure that everyone's taken care of, but at the same time, like making sure that you're hitting on those brand pillars is key, in my opinion.
So you recently signed Arvell Reese. He killed it.
Shout
Combine. Yeah, he killed it in the combine. 4.46, I think, on run on 40. How was that like? How was that like getting somebody from your hometown, from Glenville High School, and just getting that and being able to pour into what you got was from the city and give it to him? So it's like, how was that?
No, it was dope. you know, so, I mean, anytime you get the opportunity to work with somebody that's from Cleveland, it's special for us, not only me, but for Rich, you know what I mean? Because we from here, right? You know what I mean? It means more. And even with like Arvell, like it was so many so much overlap of like people that we knew, you know, his dad knew a lot of the same people I knew, and, you know, like you, for instance, and, you know what I mean? So it was like kind of cool. It felt like family the whole time. And that, I mean, that's a special thing when you can kind of come alongside of what, you know, who's already around the athlete and just kind of add value to it.
Yeah.
That, you know, it's definitely special for sure.
Yeah.
So Kelt, you know, you're being an agent, and you know, obviously you're at Clutch right now, and you know, Clutch is, as far as the brand name and all that, you know, people recognize that and people respect that. So let's take us back to when you weren't with Clutch. Like, how did you start off your agent career, and what led you to Clutch? And
Yeah, so I mean, I always knew that I would be at Clutch. You know, I guess technically it was just really a matter of time when Rich wanted to start a football division. Like I had told him, as soon as I got certified on the football, so I'm like, bro, like, what are we doing?
Yeah, for
And
sure.
he like, I'm not ready yet. So I got my license. I'm, you know, licensed attorney as well. So I'm like, man, I'm about to just get started and just, you know, start grinding, trying to figure this out. So, you know, I had some guys in and out the league. Obviously, I had Josh Gordon when he was going through. So, I mean, it was a hell of a learning experience, you know, just kind of being on my own, you know, with the group I was with at the time. It's called All Day Group, but it was like a group that I started with another guy. So, or, you know, he started it, but he gave me some equity to kind of join forces with him. But, you know, like I said, it was a great learning experience. But, you know, I always told him, like, when Rich is ready, I'm going to Clutch to build that. And that's what happened. Rich hit me one day like, yo, I'm ready, Kelt. And we started football division. You know, we started with 3 first-rounders the first year, and it's been kind of nonstop ever since.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that just like, because y'all had Chase Young, y'all had Okuda. Who was the third one?
Makai Becton.
Oh, see, because I remember that, like, just seeing your name on the TV was like the coolest shit ever, like, from seeing where you came from. And so,
Appreciate it.
so what about, like, the family life? How's the family doing?
The family great, man. You know, my 2 oldest, they off, you know, my oldest daughter, she in New York doing her thing. My son, he just moved back with his girl. She getting her PhD case. He actually proposed to her the other day, and then
Congrats to him.
congratulations. Appreciate it.
Congratulations.
And then my younger, she a freshman at O State.
That is crazy, her being in college already.
Yeah, man.
And I know Gabe, you know, Gabe got some big things going on right now.
You know, my wife running for state rep, District 18. You know, vote for Gabe.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure. We gotta make sure we vote for Gabe for sure.
Vote for Gabe.
Yeah, for sure.
How's that going?
It's going well, man. You know, it's different. You know what I mean? The political world is a whole different world. You know, and, you know, I'm just here to support, man. You know, whatever she needs.
She ready though. She ready for it.
Yeah, no, she into it. You know, she already the president of the school board at Cleveland Heights, so she's kind of already been learning the ropes and the, you know, kind of in that space and really advocating for education and the youth and, you know, our people already. So she's already kind of been headed down that path.
That's good. I can't wait to see what she do with that though.
Appreciate it.
I want to ask, what is one of the biggest mistakes athletes make in business that you've seen?
So in business, I would say, I mean, most times they don't. I'm trying to figure out how to word this. So a lot of times, guys, they don't really make that many mistakes in business per se because they kind of have teams around them. I would say the guys that really make the mistake. So the biggest mistake is not having the right team. Okay. You know what I mean? So let's just let's start. That's to answer your question. Not having the right team is the biggest mistake that athletes make in business. Thinking they can do everything on their own. You know what I mean? Not having the right infrastructure, and that's not only just from a business, like your contracts and your marketing and whatever. It's just also just having people that can relate to you, that can pour into you, because it's a very, like, people don't understand how much pressure these guys deal with and what they have going on, and not being able to have someone that's not just, you know, quote unquote, using you or, you know, viewing you as like almost, you know, because this agent player dynamic can get weird with certain people, you know what I mean? Certain agents and agencies, you want to be around, you want to have the people around you that actually care about you.
Do you like from that, you know, from that aspect? Do you think you guys are going up against with something that you guys like unknowingly created? As far as, you know, I always wonder like Clutch or 8081, people seeing y'all how y'all did it, and just like because y'all are friends, y'all are cool, and so when y'all took off and did what y'all did, I think that led other people to think like I could be Clutch, I could be 881, I could be Rich, I could be Kelt, I could be so, and I think that's what I hear that a lot. Like, you know, some of these younger guys will be like, oh, my friend, he's my agent, he's my manager, and he's my, because I think they saw what y'all did, and you know, I think they're trying to emulate it. That's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, we support that to a degree. You know what I mean? Like, that's one thing about Clutch. Like, if you want to, from an agency perspective, we understand how important it is to empower the people around the athlete. So that's something that, you know, we don't shy away from. But to your point, not everyone is equipped to handle, you know, to do business at a high level. You know what I mean? Like, whether it's from, I mean, like, I actually passed the bar exam. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
sure.
you know, like, I have certain credentials and have done things and, you know, have business experience. And that's not to say that you just start out that way, but you have to at least be striving towards or working towards, you know, the professionalism that's required is definitely at a high level. So, you know, I feel like sometimes guys, they want to empower their people, but their people may not be ready or even willing to do the work. You got to have a willingness to work. I mean, it's work. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, you know, it look cool, you know, courtside or you on the field with guys, like, but behind the scenes, it's a lot of work, like a whole lot of work.
Yeah. So I was when you was coming, I was thinking some of the questions I was gonna ask you off script, and I ran into one of your friends, Mike Ivy, right?
Oh, yeah, it's
so
my guy.
what he was
Motorcycle
telling me
Michael.
was powerful is because he said in these conversations that you and him were having that you already knew where you were going. How important is it for not just even an athlete, but to know where you're going, like where you headed and what's your plans to get there? He told me way before this, you already knew that you were transitioning into something different, and them conversations y'all had were really special to him because he got a chance to see it up front.
No, for sure. Shout out to Mike. So, I mean, I would say knowing where you're going is critical, right? Like, I mean, it doesn't have to be super specific, but just kind of have a general idea where you want to be and what you want to do so you can start building towards it. Because if you don't have, like, a lot of people have dreams, but they don't have plans. They don't want to put things, you know, put the work in. You know what I mean? Like, going to law school was not easy. You know what I mean? When I was telling somebody the other day, when I took the bar, I studied every day from 10 in the morning to 10 at night for 6 weeks straight, every day. You know what I mean?
Wow, yeah.
So, like, if you're not willing to put that kind of work in, you know, how can you reap the benefits? You know what I mean? So I definitely think being able to peek around the corner and have a plan, have an idea of what you want to do is super important in life.
What taught you to work like this?
Say that again?
What taught you how to work like this, to grind like this, or to
I
strive
mean,
like
you know,
this?
my dad, he was a hardworking guy. He was, he worked for IBM. He was more on the corporate side, but he was doing things at a high level when I was growing up. So just kind of watching him and seeing how he carried himself, and just, I mean, I had my first kid. I was 19, so I didn't have a choice. You know what I mean? I had to, get out there and get to it. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't an option for me.
Yes. So how did so we talked about 8081. How did that prepare you for dealing with people in the athlete business or sports business? Or did you take some from there and apply it to what you're doing now?
Yeah, the great thing about being a promoter is that you really, like, you start to recognize patterns in people, and you can really, like, read people very well because you spend so much time around people. I mean, you're talking about seeing thousands, hundreds of people, thousands of people every weekend.
Right.
Every week, rather, for years. So just being able to recognize patterns and see things and really, like, kind of read people is something that's very, very important in this role.
That's great. And so, with you being in that space as an agent, and you know, you coming from the background you come from, like you show up to a kid house, you looking like this. So I know you had to get a lot of hate from these agents who don't understand that, you know, from our culture, who don't understand that what you represent or what you're trying to go with everything.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, it kind of, it's definitely, especially like on the football side, because they like, you know, it was like, oh, they just basketball, you know,
Yeah, for
clutch
sure.
is just basketball. They don't know what they're doing. That was like, you know, they got first rounders, but they haven't done any second contracts. That was kind of like what you heard when we first started the football business. But I mean, you know, you start doing, you know, large deals and doing things at a high level. That changed quick.
Oh, that's what's up. And as far as you know, when you're doing deals, you on TV, your name's on the news and all that. So how you dealing with, you know, people might see Kelt signed a guy signed $100 million contract. You know, people are like, well, Kelt got 10% of that, so Kelt got $10 million. So how you dealing with that? 'Cause I'm pretty sure everything changed.
Yeah, I don't. Well, first off, the most you can charge in the NFL is 3%. But second of all, like nobody, I don't know. Nobody ever came up to me and said that. I mean, you know, but I'm pretty, like I said, I'm ducked off, man. I don't, you know. It's kind of hard to just like bump into me nowadays.
Now you see look, you see this now. You see why it's such a special occasion.
Yeah, I'll just keep it real.
Yeah, it is. It is definitely. I mean, just even seeing you from back in the day, still was a little ducked off.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Ducked off, recognized, ducked off.
But Kelt gonna through it all though, man. Kelt gonna answer the phone. He gonna respond back to you. He gonna talk to you. Whatever you need, he gonna.
Yeah, no. If you got access to me or you got a line on me, like I'm very like you know. I'm just saying like I just don't be.
So also, you know, when we talking and asking these questions, I be like to throw out some flowers. We did some stuff in the community, and you came through. How important is it to do charity work, philanthropy work?
I mean, it's critical. I mean, you know, it's something that, you know, especially like in the role that I'm in, like it's like you got to lead by example, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's one thing for me to tell my clients, you need to do this event or you need to give back, but I feel like I need to participate and lead by an example as well. So it's super important. It's always been important to me. I always try to, you know, whether it's giving back to the youth, speaking to the youth. I mean, you know, I go to the Juvenile Justice Center, speak to the kids every year. I mean, it's just, you know, you kind of got to be, I don't see any other way, honestly, especially in our community. It's, you know, nowadays things get, like, we got to really take care of each other because, like, it ain't coming from nowhere else. Right. No one's coming to save us.
Yeah. And also, you know, on another note, if I had a badge to give you, you know, you are now an honorary member of the Glenville neighborhood, East 105th Street. You know, I mean, it's by way of your wife, but you know, like, you know, you're official. You're official. We shout out to Gabe.
I tell people all the time, man. I studied abroad on St. Clair. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's like, oh, you know. Yeah. I mean, I'm not from there, but you know, I spent a lot. You know.
Yeah, you spent a lot.
I know some guys.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. Yeah.
I appreciate that, though, man.
Yeah.
So from just like, you know, on a personal standpoint, we just want to get into like some regular questions, you know, see who Kelt really is outside of the agency, outside of the, you know, everything else. So far as like, you know, what you doing as far as music these days, or what you listening to, or because I got a question for you, because we were talking about this a couple of days ago. So we said we got a long road trip. We got 12-hour road trip. You can take 3 albums with you. We went all day talking about this. I was like, I can't wait to ask Kelt this. If you could take 3 albums with you, you got a 12-hour trip. You don't listen to 3 albums. What albums you taking with you?
So I don't know like the title of the Clark Sisters album, the gospel group, but I only listen to gospel before 12 o'clock. So in the morning, like you know, the Clark Sisters gonna be in the morning. Then there's gonna be Big Timers, How You Love That.
Okay. Nice transition.
And then Reasonable Doubt.
Oh yeah, that's one.
Reasonable Doubt. That's definitely going on there.
Reasonable Doubt. I'm definitely going Reasonable Doubt.
Definitely.
I'm definitely going Tupac Machiavelli.
Okay.
And then I'm going to Anita Baker Essentials.
See, that's perfect.
I'm a Anita Baker.
Yeah, nah. I mean, that's
so,
before noon.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can't. You know what I mean? That rap be tough before noon. You know what I mean?
It is. I was the question. I mean, the answer. I was like, who I'm riding with. That determines everything.
Yeah.
But definitely Reasonable Doubt in there though. And so it's just like, the state of the music right now, and just like we also had a discussion about the verses with T.I., 50 Cent, or what's your thoughts on that? Because I personally think people is sleeping on T.I. across the board. Like as far as him, I had conversations about T.I. versus Wayne, and niggas like Wayne gonna watch T.I. I'm like, I don't know about watch.
Yeah, I mean T.I., man, like that was the height of 8081 in the View when like
T.I. had some hits during that time.
24,
whatever you like,
yeah.
and I mean he had some some
bangers.
very big
Yeah.
records. So
Smash
like I'm not
records.
gonna just sit up here and act like T.I., you know what I mean? It's like you said, just get washed.
What about against Wayne? Same thing.
I mean, I don't think. I mean, I think. I mean, T.I.'s like biggest records. He could. I mean, he can go toe to toe with whoever.
I said
You
that.
know what I mean? In
I
my
said that.
opinion, I mean,
I'm talking about anybody,
you know.
and that's anybody. He got really big records, man. So and then as far as like the culture, as far as like the sports, the culture in Cleveland like that. So how would you say your impact here? Because I see like when you guys are out, no matter if they're clutch or not, it seems like the guys all mess with you. So what is that like as far as getting that love in the city from like athletes across the board, clutch or non-clutch?
I mean, I just feel like that's. I mean, it's obviously I appreciate it for sure, but I mean I think if you carry yourself a certain way, people are going to gravitate towards you, and I think that just kind of reflects that
energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you managed to build a dynamic team of fashion, music, marketing, strategy. What are the key elements that keep you guys around? Because you guys we talked about back 10 years ago, 15 years ago to now. You're talking about the same players. You're talking about Duck. You're talking about Rich. You're talking about you. You're talking about Mill, Steph, Floss. What is some of the elements to that team chemistry like? Because I know everybody's looking for a great team, but what's some of those things that kept you guys all together?
I mean, I would just say, man, we just, like you say, it was just like a perfect fit for real. I don't. It's kind of hard to describe how it happened or like why we so close. But like we all like it's crazy because we all know each other from like different parts of our life.
Mm-hmm.
Like me and Mill went to high school together, so I know Mill since like '94. You know what I mean? So like, but now you see what Mill doing. He out there DJing Lakers practices and you know what I mean, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Then obviously Steph is in-game host for the Cavs, the Browns. He on the radio.
He everywhere.
You know what I mean? So and then Rich, like I said, we always knew Rich was gonna be lit. You know what I mean? Duck
Rich doing
always,
Rich stuff.
Yeah,
that's gonna be the new thing.
Duck always been heavy on the fashion. With the Tacma to layer to you know what I mean. So it's like, I just think the thing that probably makes, I guess, to answer your question in a more clear way, like everyone has like their own value that they bring to the circle, and no one's like trying to cross each other out. Like it's like we just pour into like whatever, like when Rich was like got heavy in the representation, we was still throwing parties to like whatever athlete he was recruiting. We made sure they had the best table. We made sure, they was good. And, it's just like whatever. When Rich told Mill to move out to LA, he already like was putting things together for Mill.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like we always, with Steph, he came, I called Steph when we had the View. I said, look, man, I need you to come up here on Sundays, and DJ for me. You know what I mean? We trying to build something. So it's just like always reaching out and just kind of figuring out how to put your people in position and not try to like downplay them. You know what I mean? That's something that we've always been real strong and steadfast on.
Right, adding value to each other, yep.
And so just as far as seeing Rich take it to the level that he took it to, can you talk about that, like seeing that rise? Because Rich is really on the level I don't think people really realize. Like Rich really is the man in those rooms. Rich be the man in those rooms. And so to see that, from just a guy from right around the corner of these same neighborhoods, what was that like to see that grow to what it is now?
I mean, it's crazy. You know what I mean? And like, like I said, we kind of always knew. I don't know if we knew it was going to be to the level he at now, because Rich is, I mean, the man's girlfriend or fiance is Adele. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's
Yeah.
it's a different type of, you know, he doing different stuff, man. You know, I mean, the man bought Sylvester Stallone house. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he still got the Rocky statue by the pool. Like, you know, it's just, you know, it's kind of crazy that what he got going on. But like, I would say, so to answer your question, to watch the transition has been wild. Because like I said, we always knew Rich was gonna always be. I mean, he been, like I said, he been lit since we was kids. But like, so we always knew he was gonna be a guy. But like, to the level he at now is kind of crazy.
It's insane. And me not even being close to the situation as you, for me to see it just like it's insane. Because when you see him, like I mentioned, just in the rooms with like the who's, he's still the man. Like it's like crazy, like to see. So,
Yeah, no. Wow, I probably known Rich for 30 years.
No, for sure.
Yeah, that make me old though. But yeah, so yeah, you're right. He's always been Rich. From being on the court, he's always wanted to shoot for money. He's always had this ultra high confidence of himself. And said, man, being close to him, did you take any of that swag, any of that, and kind of put it into what you do with the athletes, or it's just all Kelt and you know?
Yeah, no,
because you
I
got
mean,
your own swag. You know, you super cool. You know, you got you stay with the fashion. I know they gravitate to you in that way, but Rich always, even for me as an older guy, he always brought like something. Hey, Ray, you should be doing this, or talking to me in a certain type of way.
Right.
You know, see if you get any tidbits of knowledge from
Yeah,
him.
no, for sure. I mean, just the inspiration alone is enough. You know what I mean? Just seeing someone, being so close to someone that doing things at such a high level. I mean, he inspired me to, like I said, even really get serious about player representation. Like you didn't really know exactly what these jobs and these roles were when you were younger, because they weren't really as visible back then. You know what I mean? Like, you know, Jerry Maguire, you see that, but like you don't really think like you gon' like that could be you for real. Like, you know what I'm saying?
That's kind of the skit we used in the play off the flyer. That's what we using.
For sure.
We gonna open it up to our live audience for questions. Anybody that got a question for Kelt, shoot.
Yeah, I mean, I would say on the high school level, you want to at least like have an attorney if you don't have an agent. You know what I mean? To have someone reviewing your contracts, because what you want to avoid is sometimes you want to, like, certain categories. You know certain brands are going to want exclusivity, so you want to try to minimize that. You want to like always try to like allow yourself to be able to do continue to do. Because some, like, for instance, like Gatorade, right? If you do a deal with Gatorade, they're going to cross out all your hydration. Like, I mean, like, everything. Like, even, like, energy drinks, so, like, you want to have a lawyer say, okay, look, if you want to do a deal with Fiji water, it's only for water. You know what I mean? So, like, I guess I'm saying, like, they definitely should be, at least consulting with an attorney, even if they don't want to just, like, hire an agent, at least have a lawyer look over this stuff, because a lot of these contracts are very, the timelines, you might be signing a deal that could possibly stretch into your collegiate career or from your collegiate career to your professional career, and it could cancel out bigger bags down the road if you're not careful. So you definitely want to have an attorney, have them, at least have an attorney look it over for them if they don't have an agent. I mean, so basketball is a bit more political than football. It's just in regards to like what school you go to matters, what AAU program, what if you on EYBL, if you on another circuit, like all of that kind of matters. So it's really understanding the nuances and the dynamics of that, and making sure you're positioning your son the right way, so that if he can play at a high level, that he's not getting overlooked for political reasons. So I would say if that's like you mentioned development, and what should he be doing to kind of like develop himself outside of just hooping? He definitely, obviously academics are key, but just making sure that he's got the right mentors and other people in his life to really kind of help broaden his horizons and help him be more of a rounded, individual, because that's key. Like, because you don't want to because what you see a lot of times, these guys that like athletes in general, they be so focused on playing, whatever sport they play, and whether they make it all the way professional and it ends, or maybe it ends in college, they don't know anything else because that's all they've done, and it's a very tough. It can make the transition very difficult. So being able to open him up to other things and really like help enrich his life in other areas is critical.
I think we had a question over here.
I mean, if they're a target, they should, they probably should look at securing one right away. I mean, even like, when they're transitioning from high school to college, I mean, doing the deal, with the collective and all of that, like you want to have somebody to, review on that. So, I mean, if it's, just make sure it's a reputable agent. But I mean, I do think I don't think it's anything wrong with it. Like I say, if they're an NIL target, they should have some representation for sure.
So for households who don't know what a qualified agent is, how do they determine that? How do they locate a reputable agent?
I mean, get in contact with me. Like no, I'm not trying to be funny, but like even if it's not me, it's like it's your agent. Like I can definitely help you, like point you in the right direction or tell you the right questions to ask. Like like Greg said, I mean, I definitely, I answer the phone. Just people just don't really reach out like that.
Got a question over here.
Hi, thanks for coming. As a licensed professional counselor, I'm always thinking about the suicide rate of young athletes, their involvement with addiction, their involvement with women and sex addiction, if you may, as well as their involvement with the law and how media portrays that. How have agencies like yours integrated mental health prevention to equip athletes with the transition, stress of the transition?
Yeah, so we had a gentleman on staff that was a mental health expert. He has since moved on and went down a different career path. But at Clutch, we try to integrate mental health professionals within the infrastructure of the agency. But most of the leagues have strong resources and things of that nature as well that we can kind of connect our clients with through the league also. We also have, I mean, just being an agent that's not afraid to have those discussions and just be a resource to refer guys to mental health assistance and counseling to me is where a lot of the issue is that people, a guy may not understand, or a guy or a girl, may not understand that they could talk to their agent about that. I mean, we have, through the NFLPA and, through the NBPA, like there's a lot of resources available to guys that people just don't know about, but that's something that we try to be very upfront with our clients about. You know, I've had guys, I mean, the things you mentioned obviously are very serious and important, but I mean, it may just be something as simple as a lot of gentlemen, they come from universities where they're used to winning all the time and they're used to things being a certain way, and they may go to a team in the NFL that doesn't have that same level of, you know, they're not executing at a high level, the same level that they're used to at college. So, I mean, it could be the smallest things, but just really having, you know, giving them someone that they can speak to or point them in the right direction is something that we're very keen on at Clutch.
Kelt, thanks for being here today. Just wanted to ask 2 quick questions. What are some of the biggest challenges you face in the role? And just high level, tell us a little bit about like the recruiting process on bringing on someone that you're interested.
So, I mean, the challenges, I mean, they're endless. Yeah, I mean, you know, every day is something different, whether it's, you know, managing injuries, whether it's managing family members, family dynamics. You know, this is I'm a very hands-on agent, so, you know, I really get down, you know, in the weeds with my guys and really try to help guide them through life. So, I mean, whatever issues they're having, they're my issues. So I would just say, you know, it's always something every day. In regards to like recruiting at like the high level recruiting, I mean, it just kind of, every situation is different. Sometimes it's a relationship you may have already. Sometimes it's just a cold call or a cold DM or cold email that turns into something. But you know, we're blessed to have built it to a point to where, you know, guys generally respond when we reach out just because of the success and the track record that we have. So, I mean, every situation is different on recruiting for sure. Like, for instance, like Arvell, I met Arvell when he was a senior in high school. Speaking again, Coach again put me on the phone with Arvell's dad who's sitting over there. And, you know, so I kind of already had, I don't say an end, but, you know, there was already some relationships that we kind of had. We knew some of the same people, so that was a situation that was unique, him being from Cleveland, et cetera. Whereas like a Devontae Smith who's all the way down in Alabama, that was just literally me reaching out a cold DM to his guy, and, you know, it turned into, you know, me represent Devontae Smith. So every situation's different.
How do you show yourself love through all the stresses, working with other people's lives and careers? How does helping them live that high valuable lifestyle and being successful with you and them working together?
So how do I, so you say, how do I show myself love?
Yeah, how do you show yourself love? And like, you got to work with all these different, you know, football players in the drafts and in the league, working with their high valuable lifestyles. How do you show love to yourself, keeping that stress in a balanced place with those people and careers?
I mean, I would say just having a strong relationship with God has been a big guiding force for me. Right. I mean, you know, it's a stressful job. You're gonna hear way more no's than you're gonna hear yeses. Right. I mean, you know, contract negotiations. Because I mean, it's just nonstop stress. But, you know, having to focus on God and keeping God first for me is what kind of helps give me like a compass to navigate and show myself love.
Yeah. Okay, that's what's up. And my other question is, how can a person work for Clutch Sports as a professional scout discovering talent?
So we don't per se have a scouting situation. It's more of like either you're in client services, which is like day to day, you're an agent, or you're in marketing or comms, or, you know, we have like the agent generally is going to be looking for the talent or trying to find the talent and cultivate the talent and, you know, build a relationship with the talent on their own.
Okay. Okay.
9 times out of 10.
I was just curious because I was like, hey, I be watching sports all the time. I deal with like I don't deal with the person, but I be knowing the little stuff that helps me advantageous in life. So I was like, hey, can you work? Will you be able to?
Right.
You know. So
Shoot
I'm
your
just
shot.
curious to know.
I gotta
No, I
shoot it
got
while
you.
you right here.
Yeah.
Every day.
My question is, how do you have conversation with athletes to either change their circle or let them know that they can't take care of everybody in their circle without taking care of themselves first?
I mean, it's a constant dialogue in regards to managing the people around the athlete and managing, how they deal with their family and friends. I generally tell my guys, like, man, just blame it on me or blame it on, we had his client service rep, like, let us be the bad guy because, it definitely can be overwhelming for these guys, but yeah, I mean, as far as the circle goes, that's something that you try to make sure that you say it in a way that's not offensive, but you do have to kind of say, hey, man, you sure you going about this the right way, or you looking at this the right way, or that's just you just got to be kind of delicate with that. Right.
What up, Kelt?
What's good?
Hey, thanks for on behalf of Plai Makr for showing up for sure. This is
Appreciate
awesome. So, right now we're building a sports management program. Been doing marketing for a little while. Now, what do you think is the biggest thing that you've learned from the beginning? Right, I know you started with sports management. What do you think has been the biggest shift for you in transitioning from sports management to being a sports agent?
I mean, I would say it's kind of tough for me to like answer that. I guess because like for me the management kind of faded when I came to Clutch because we had so much infrastructure in place, and that was just a testament to what Rich had built and the partnership that he created with United Talent Agency. So it allows me to focus a bit more on just being an agent, right? But I would say from a transition perspective, just really understanding how, having relationships at a high level with, different front offices, and really building that Rolodex. Also, like I mentioned, I went to law school, so I have a, pretty good understanding of contract negotiation and things of that nature. So just really making sure that I'm putting the tools in my toolbox to really, so when I was transitioning, to really make sure I had the skill sets that I knew were going to be important when I decided to become an agent. So just, I guess to answer your question more directly, just do the work to learn the additional skills to really be able to make sure that you're, doing, that your job as an agent at a high level, and you don't just like come in on some like, I'm just cool with the athlete and I'm cool, but like really have some real knowledge and some real understanding.
What are some of the things you think, as far as the knowledge and skills, that have gotten you this far? Because like your name, who you are, you separate yourself from a lot of people who do what you do very quickly. You have done that. What do you think has been some of the biggest qualities about yourself that have separated you to get you to where you are today?
I mean, I just think, being a great listener, man. Like, you know what I mean? That's something I pride myself on, especially in this business where a lot of people, they want to talk the loudest. They want to, go in and have their chest poked out when they're negotiating. Like, I feel like you learn more by listening, and it allows you to be strategic and attack situations in a much more meaningful and strategic way when you kind of let people talk and let, get a better understanding of this thing. So I would say that's been my kind of, something that I really lean on is the ability to listen and really understand where people coming from. Appreciate it.
Ice got a question.
No, but well, I want to ask you, man. Actually, I do want to ask you something, though, man.
Okay.
I think I can be an agent, man. Okay.
Okay.
I really do, man. I think I'm one of the best shooting instructors in the world. Okay. I can't do a lot. Okay, but I can show you how to shoot that rock right. Okay. But no, but I've been seeing some things in high school. I'm a high school ref for 30 years, football and basketball. And I just see players who don't be shooting right and don't have the fundamental skills of shooting, that's all. You know what I'm saying? So, just let you know I can be one, okay?
Okay. All right, for sure.
I'm for real, too, though.
All right, for sure.
In about 2 weeks.
We got one more. We got one. Ken got one.
What can you tell the youth or give them advice as far as the social media play? You talked about a little bit of it early on, as far as their image and everything else, how that plays a big part in them getting farther and farther. Like you had kids on there that's great athletes, but then their next post is them with a mask on and stuff of that nature, just trying to fit in with the crowd and society these days. Because it's all over TV. Like when we come up, a lot of this stuff wasn't on TV. So a lot of stuff that they're seeing on TV and everything, they think it's cool to put on their Instagram and free my big brother or free my little cuz and this, that, and the third. How that affects them as far as their recruiting and everything else go.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta, like, social media is like a resume. So, I mean, I would say you just want to make sure you keep it clean as possible. It doesn't, like, if what you're posting doesn't line up with your goals, then don't post it at all. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? If you don't want to, you know, if you want to get a scholarship, you want to play sports, you need to post things that align with that. Post yourself working out, post yourself, you know, doing things that are related to the sport. And if you do decide to post something from a lifestyle or, you know, just your friends, like, make sure whatever y'all doing is, you know, something that somebody will want to buy into.
Any more questions?
Okay.
Hold on.
Okay, so in all transparency, I was at those 80, 81 parties while in grad school. And what I noticed is like the shift in the culture, nightlife culture in Cleveland, and just in general, right? So when I was there in VIP or even bartending on the side, I was in grad school. You know, what I find now is that there's a shift in our city culturally that doesn't feel like those good old times. How do you think your position now and your team has or can influence young talent coming in that may have subscribed to the culture that is nowhere near what it was when everyone was grinding and having fun?
So you're saying, how am I able to, like, impact these
yeah.
young guys
Is it something
and
that you
girls
consider?
coming up,
Yeah.
even though that they're kind of on a different type of time?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy, but at the same time, I do feel like if you can kind of meet people where they are a little bit, you can and get kind of some understanding of maybe why their makeup is the way it is or why they think the way they think, and just kind of add some things. I just think, like, I feel like if you just spend time with me, you get close to me. Like, I feel like guys that I rep, you know, over a period of time, they kind of start to see the world a little bit differently. That's something that I feel like is, you know, I'm able to bring to my clients. So I would say it's really just really more so about, I mean, the way I move, I can't do it with everybody, but I would say I just try to lead by example. And, you know, if I do have the opportunity to come, you know, in contact with someone to kind of, you know, hopefully I can kind of, you know, give them a different view, because it's definitely different. I'm not sure if that's just because I'm older now, but it's definitely things have definitely changed.
Any more questions? Well, I think it's been an impactful interview. We got a chance to have Kelt open up a little bit, which, you know, I mean, he does open up, but I'm saying open up to the world. You don't get to see him talk as much. He's in the background. He's grinding. He's doing these things he's doing. I appreciate you guys coming out. Shout out to my co-host,
Absolutely.
G Money.
We appreciate you coming through and just really opening up and just, you know, giving us a real version of yourself. And I hope you had as good a time as we did. So we hopefully just keep seeing you growing up. You know, we all watching, we all rooting for you, and just, you know, keep making us proud as, you know, being from Cleveland and on that big stage. So keep making us proud and you know, keep